What is up, guys? Welcome back. Another lovely Wednesday evening here. Hope you guys all had a really nice 4th of July weekend. We're going to be doing our normal ESPN Wednesday night mock draft here. We're going to be drafting from the 9 spot in a 12-team league over on ESPN. And then if you guys want to hang out and get in a draft with me later, we have the sleeper mock draft here. We're doing a 10-team full PPR mock draft. I have that ready here. You guys can join me and we'll just do a kind of quick simulated mock draft over here on Sleeper. So that'll be after this ESPN mock. But for now, we're drafting 9 spot. I do see Harrison there at pick 2. Tony, always behind me here at pick number 10. And if anyone else is drafting with us, just say hi in the chat. And we're going to just hang out, man. We're going to hang out for maybe the next 45 minutes or so and get some of these things done. I'm thinking Saturday I'm going to probably do a video. I might do a live stream where I just take a bunch of questions and things like that. So Mr. Magic, good evening. Good evening to Mr. Magic. We got that sleeper mock draft link right above your comment there waiting for you. And we're underway here. So the 9 spot, I really don't know if I have a preference if I get to choose my redraft spot this season. I think it's all pretty good. We put Ashton Genty as the cover guy because he is the 9th ranked player in their projection system. So I'm cool with collecting Ashton Genty. We'll see if any of these other guys above fall to me. But I think if you're like, yeah, I'm fine collecting Genty. He's going to get a ton of opportunities. Usually top 10 running backs in the NFL draft, when we can get them on our fantasy team their rookie year, they're usually going to pay off. So I have no issues with Genty. I think Geno Smith provides a nice little stability to the Raiders, and even Brock Bowers, man. You know, he's going to get a little boost with Geno Smith. I think this offense can be sneaky good. You're going to see Pete Carroll kind of try and run his Seattle offense. And we are up to pick. We missed on Ashton Genty. Malik Neighbors did go higher than expected. So we get our choice between Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey. I really, really, really like Devon Achane. I think he could be a league-winning pick this year. He was RB5 last year, and he really didn't slow down, man. Like, he just continued to produce. So we're going to try something different. We're going to take Devon Achane, who I do think is a first-round talent this season. I think, sure, I could have taken Puka. I could have taken Christian McCaffrey. But to me, I'm ranking Devon Achane over these guys that we see on this list. So we get our stud running back one. And, I mean, when my projections came out, and this is just the kind of cheat sheet that you guys can expect on the fantasyfellowship.com. But I did update projections today. All that stuff is live. I think I have to update the cheat sheets, but hopefully you don't need a cheat sheet yet. But Devon Achane's my RB2, man. I got him over Gibbs, McCaffrey, Barkley, Genty. Like, I'm pretty bullish on Devon Achane. 322 fantasy points. I only have a couple of receivers getting more points. I do have Puka Nacua ranked pretty highly as well, so I do regret a little bit passing on Puka, but I'm all in on Devon Achane. I think this team's built to throw the football. In my projection document, I got a tab here that just has, you know, all 32 offenses, and I have the Miami Dolphins the fifth highest pass attempts this season. So I think they're going to throw the ball. I think they're going to be a funnel for Achane, Waddle, Tyreek, and we'll see if they can get anything out of tight end Darren Waller. But overall, that's your first round. Let's go to pick history here. Puka, McCaffrey, and Amon-Ra round out the top 12. Nico Collins, one of my favorite picks here. Yeah, Harris, if you're available Saturday afternoon, evening, that would be a good time for me. I could do it, I don't know, 5 p.m. Central Time, something like that. We can hash those details out, but I'm thinking sometime Saturday evening would be good for me. But we're on the clock here. I got 15 seconds. JT, AJ Brown, Jacobs, Bucky, Brock. I love my guy Drake London here. I'm probably just going to continue to click on Drake London. I think he's a clear-cut top 5-ish wide receiver in fantasy this season. Let me see where I actually got him in my projections. I got London up here at wide receiver 6. So ahead of Neighbors, Amon-Ra, well ahead of AJ Brown, Nico Collins even. I am pretty excited about London. So we get 2 of my favorite players. And this is a little bit of a different draft for us because we did kind of reach on Achane. technically reached a little bit on London based on ADP, but I'm in love with the Achane and Drake London start. And hey, good evening to Aiden. You can hop in the sleeper draft here if anyone wants to hang out. We got the sleeper mock draft here, but don't worry, too, man. There's always next Wednesday. We can always get more, and it's still pretty early. But good evening to Aiden. Chase Brown. Chase Brown at 19, especially over Josh Jacobs and Bucky Irving. I don't think that's something that I would do. I do think there's going to be some value for Chase Brown this year, but I mean, I got him at kind of RB14. There's a handful of guys that I think are a little bit safer. I don't really trust his rushing volume. I do think he's going to be a pretty nice receiving back, but he's not going to be, I think there's legit running backs with top 5 upside at the position, whether it's Jacobs, Bucky. You can maybe argue James Cook, even Kieran Williams. Like, these guys, I think, have higher ceilings than a guy like Chase Brown. Because we can't see Chase Brown running for, I don't know, 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, something like that. He's going to have a lot of receiving work, but he's just not quite that profile, I think, to be a top 5 pick. And at round 2, you're picking him kind of at his ceiling, RB7 or whatever he's at here. So probably not my favorite pick as well, Harris. And Harris does collect Brock Bowers, and he goes Josh Allen. So he's got Saquon Barkley, Brock Bowers, and Josh Allen. A good balanced start here. And yeah, don't forget, we got that sleeper draft going on over here. We got a few guys in here so far. We'll start that after this ESPN mock. But I'm going to be on the clock right now. I'm looking at Joe Mixon. I'm looking at Devontae Adams. I do like Breece Hall. I love Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think he could be a big piece for the Seahawks this year. I like Omari Hampton. I need to start being comfortable with Rashee Rice because it sure sounds like everything's lining up for him to be a very, very good pick this year. I'm going to go fishing, and I'm going to see because I still like Devontae Adams. I don't think he fell off last year. Wide receiver 11. Dude, switch teams. I know he went to Aaron Rodgers, and that's fine. But he was still putting up some big numbers, scoring touchdowns left and right, double-digit targets. I think him and Matthew Stafford could have a nice top 15, top 20 wide receiver season. So we'll see what Mr. Adams can do. And yeah, Quinshon Judkins, did he go in there? Yeah, at 28, that's just too rich for me. I don't see a receiving profile for him. And when I was doing my numbers, the Browns actually surprised, but Cleveland led the league in passing attempts last year. I think they're going to be top 5 again in that category just because they're not going to be able to maintain games and play the way that they want to play. So I'm expecting a lot of passing stuff. I still think Jerome Ford's a good best ball click. I'm kind of out on Judkins at ADP. But we're back on the clock here. They're giving me JSN. They're giving me Omari and Hampton, who I'm a pretty big fan of. I also like Marvin Harrison Jr. here. These are the 3 names that I'm really, really focusing and clicking on right now. I really want Omari and Hampton here, my man. But I think I have to take Jackson Smith-Njigba. He did rank out pretty highly for me at the wide receiver position. I got him as wide receiver 9. So you're telling me I got London, JSN, and Devontae Adams. That's 3 of my top 12 receivers in projections. I'm going to go back to pick history here. We got a good question from Mr. Magic. Rank these 3, Jonathan Taylor, Kieran, and Chase Brown. Just for purely redraft upside, I am pretty excited about Jonathan Taylor. I think he is as good of a running back in the league as anybody else. Easily can see 12 to 15 rushing touchdowns. If Daniel Jones ends up playing more games, I think that actually lifts his points per game up somewhere in that 18 to 20 points per game range. So I do feel very safe with Jonathan Taylor. Now, Kyren Williams, I don't think Kyron's like the best back. I think he's a fine back, but he's been carrying a lot of workload the last 2 years. They draft Blake Corum, they draft Jarquez Hunter, they continue to bring in guys behind him. And I think the identity of that team, yeah, they're going to give Kieran the ball a lot, but they also have Puka, they have Devontae Adams now. I think JT is the Colts offense. Everything kind of runs through him. And I do like Kieran's upside, but I'm going to lean slightly Jonathan Taylor there. And then Chase Brown, I would probably rank just behind those guys. So JT, Kieran, Chase Brown is how I would rank those guys. And yeah, we got a wild Caleb Johnson here Caleb Johnson didn't really grade out well in my projections. I think the Steelers are going to play slow, man. Aaron Rodgers ball. They're going to, run the clock down to 1 or 2, 3 seconds. Probably check into a lot of runs. And I don't see this team being a super successful passing team. I think they want to run the ball, which is good for Caleb Johnson, but they're not going to run a lot of plays. Caleb Johnson's probably not going to catch a lot of passes. They do have Jalen Warren, and they also brought in Kenneth Gainwell, who I think could be some sneaky third down work there too. So I like Caleb Johnson, but why take Caleb Johnson here when you can just get David Montgomery later? That's kind of the same profile. Montgomery's even a stronger profile than Caleb Johnson here. So we would say Caleb's probably one of the worst picks on the board here so far. I guess 2 rookie running backs have been not our favorite picks, and there's one more rookie running back to get off the board yet. But this draft's moving towards the 5th round here. We have Devon Achane to anchor our running back room. We got 3 potential top 12 receivers: Drake London, Devontae Adams, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and we're feeling pretty good. I would like another running back here soon to figure out my RB2 spot, but I don't have to force it. If there's going to be continuing to pass me wide receivers, I think I'll take the depth. I have not been really mocking early QB, and there's not really any on the list here that I love. There's actually no QBs on this list until we get to Mahomes, which could be kind of fun. We just miss on X-Worthy. David Montgomery, man, he kind of fell right to us here. I'm kind of comfortable with David Montgomery here, man. He's just rock solid. He didn't miss some games at the end of the year, but I know what I'm getting. And his touchdown odds are pretty good. I usually take Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith, these kind of guys, but we'll grab David Montgomery. We have some really good offenses here. We have the Dolphins, we have the Lions, we have the Falcons, the Rams. We're getting a good piece of each of some of the best offenses in football. I don't know if Seattle's going to be good, but I do feel good about this balanced start. And then hopefully one of these receivers can fall to us. Hopefully Zay. And one of these guys are going to be our bench receivers here. Yeah, I am concerned about the Lions dipping a little bit in 2025. You also have to wonder, Jared Goff's probably going to regress a little bit as a passer. So it's going to be very tough for the Lions to hit the numbers that they hit last year. And, especially with everybody being able to stay healthy on their team for the most part last year, all of their core offensive pieces stayed healthy, but they have losses across the board at the coaching staff. I think they lost a couple of linemen as well. And I do expect their defense to be better, which no one's really talking about. But with David Montgomery, man, like back-to-back seasons of 12 and 13 touchdowns, I'm buying volume here. And Mr. Magic is he's teasing me here, man, with the Packers. I love my Packers. I think they can win the North this year. I got to make a quick pick here, though. I'm just going to randomly pick on George Pickens. I think Pickens is pretty exciting. And when we go to my numbers here for the projections, I've been kind of harping on this, but I have Dallas leading the league in passing attempts. So it's 650, which I don't know if I can do the math on that real quick. Let me open up a calculator. Let's just do 650 divided by 17. It's about 38 passing attempts again. If Pickens is getting 7-8 targets, I think that could be very valuable for fantasy. And the Packers, how high are we on Jacobs? I actually see Josh Jacobs' numbers coming down in 2025. I think just a healthier Jordan Love, a healthier receiving core, even adding Luke Musgrave back for some field stretching ability. I think the Packers are going to be less run heavy as they were last year, and we're going to see a little bit more balance. So I still like Jacobs. He's still a beast. I think he's probably like my RB7 or 8, something in that range. So a top 5 potential running back. You can get him he's my RB9 in my projection. So I have no issues with Josh Jacobs this year. I just don't think we can expect some of those high-end numbers that we saw last year, especially a lot of the red zone rushing touchdowns. Just the year before in 2023, all those rushing touchdowns, they kind of fell into Jordan Love's column, and that's how he was able to kind of go on a run there end of 2023. So I think the Packers will be more balanced this year, but you're going to still see Josh Jacobs be the heartbeat and soul of that offense. So very excited about Jacobs. I'm not quite sure. That's where I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling to see which Packers receiver is going to be the best value. I still think Jaden Reed in the slot has a chance to lead the team in receptions and targets. My money's probably on Matthew Golden leading this team in yards and maybe receiving touchdowns. I just don't know if he's going to be that go-to guy that can get 5-6 catches per game. We're probably going to see them rotate and have big weeks and things like that. Maybe it's the tight end one week. Maybe it's the Josh Jacobs 3 rushing touchdown game. They're probably going to be frustrating to own for fantasy, but you talk about a guy like Matthew Golden who could just get better every week as the season goes on. And yeah, maybe by the end of the season, maybe it doesn't look so good the first month or so, but by the end of the year, he's looking like Xavier Worthy was last year. It took him a little bit to figure it out. But yeah, we're very excited about Matthew Golden. But I keep coming back to Jordan Love, man. I think he's one of the best values on the board for quarterback. I think you're looking at a guy that can easily throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in 2025. Nobody wants to click Jalen Waddle here. It's pick 81. I mean, I already got Devon Achane. You see him go now. So like that would have been like the auto pick for me had he been available. But I am getting pretty excited about Jalen Waddle. I like Travis Hunter here. But we do have 4 receivers: Golden, Olave, Addison, Javonte, Ramondre, Jalen Warren. These are all dudes that I love to click on. But I do need a tight end. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to click on Mark Andrews here. I just want to open up Mark Andrews' numbers the last handful of games. Tight end 6 last year. And, of course, he had the very slow ramp-up. Like the first 4 weeks of the year, everybody was proclaiming him dead. But he's coming back from a bad injury. From week 4 on, these are the numbers: 9.5, 15, 20, 14. A dud here in 4, but 18, 4. And then just a lot of double digits, man. A lot of touchdowns. He went 6 straight games with a touchdown, 7 of his last 8 games with a touchdown. I think people are kind of disrespecting Mark Andrews, who should be fully healthy with a full offseason. Mark Andrews, one of my favorite guys. And yeah, I think Tucker Kraft could take a step forward this year. And basically, the Packers just need to find guys that are going to be more consistent and make those 4, 5, 6 plays per game. Nobody wants Travis Hunter. I do need a third running back, whether it's Ramondre, Jalen Warren. I do like Cam Scatabo. I'm starting to like Jawan Jennings quite a bit here too. I think he's a fun pick. He could lead the 49ers in receiving yards and in some stats this year. So he's an exciting guy. But I keep coming back to my guy Jalen Warren here. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to dump the ball off to him a ton. You could easily see 50-plus catches, over 1,000 all-purpose yards for Jalen Warren this year, and it's just a matter of does he get those touchdowns finally. I would be nervous about going into the season with Tucker Kraft as my tight end 1 just because of some of the things we talked about. We don't know how the target distribution is going to be with the Packers. They usually spread it around. Again, it could be Jaden Reed 1 week. It could be Romeo Doubs. It could be Josh Jacobs. It could be even Luke Musgrave making some big plays. I'm a little bit nervous about Tucker Kraft. I think he didn't really come out great in my projections. I do have him as tight end 14. But hey, if he comes out and he catches 8, 9 touchdowns, that's what's going to separate him. So with Tucker Kraft, he's one of those guys that it's going to come down to touchdowns. I don't see him just having a breakout season with like 70-some catches or something like that. So I look for someone that's probably a little bit more consistent week to week. I kind of have him in that Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts, Tyler Warren tier. As much as I like Tucker Kraft, I think it's going to be still a little inconsistent. And that's fine. I could easily see Tucker Kraft being a top 10 tight end again. It's just, with tight ends, man, it really comes down to touchdowns. And that's why I kind of gravitate towards guys like Mark Andrews. Sam Laporta, I think, is a good value right now. Tucker Kraft was tight end 10 last year. I just wonder a little bit if those numbers are going to come down just a little bit. I am a little skeptical on him being able to outproduce 2024 again, just with more competition from Matthew Golden and a few more other things. But we shall see. I think he's a good pick, but to me, he's more of a tight end 2. Brian Robinson goes round 8, pick 10. Austin Eckler, I think, is still a good pick there. So both Commanders backs go at the end of the 8th round. I'm kind of thinking Chris Godwin could be a nice pick here at the end of round number 9 or end of round 8. I'm probably taking Jawan Jennings over him, though, just because I think he could lead the team in receiving. And then Ricky Pearsall is an intriguing guy, too. I think he could be a guy that leads the team in receptions and touchdowns. He ended the year really strongly when he kind of got put into a starting role He's been a little unhealthy this offseason, so that is a little nerve-wracking. But Ricky Pearsall, one of those guys I think you can put on your bench and see what happens. And good evening to Charlene. Hope you're doing well. And if I remember correctly, you're in Texas. If I can remember, I'm not sure, but hopefully, if you are, everything's okay over there for you. I do need to start looking at some quarterbacks here. We always wait, but hey, Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was a different guy. He had a tale of two seasons last year. From about after the bye week, they kind of flipped a switch and he started throwing the ball a lot more. You see multiple touchdown passes, and he does have those legs. I do like that a little bit of burst that he has running the football. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I can see myself taking Jaden Reed here. I'm getting pretty excited about Cam Scatabo, so we're going to click him as our RB4, just a guy on our bench, and maybe he's the Giants' leading running back. We'll see. And Harris says it's 101 degrees out in Denver, I believe that is. Yeah, we had a nasty – the last, 3 weeks, and I'm up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's been 90 degrees for about 3 straight weeks, which is 90 to 95 with just very humid and not very fun to be outside. But we finally got some relief here. So we're moving into round number 10. You see Jonnu Smith come off the board. I don't know if Jonnu Smith's going to be that dependable of a tight end. I might actually prefer Jonnu Smith over a guy like Tucker Kraft just because I think he's going to be more dink and dunk. And he's going to fit what Aaron Rodgers is looking for a little bit better. He could even lead the team in receptions this year. I think that's not too crazy to say. But we're back on the board here. A lot of running backs and receivers I'm still liking. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my Jordan Mason. I didn't have a Viking share yet, and I do think he is a potential lottery pick. If Aaron Jones misses a game, we're going to see Jordan Mason hit 20 touches probably in that game. So I like putting him on my bench. I do need to finish off with some receivers, though. We have Drake London, Devontae, JSN, and George Pickens. I don't necessarily need to force quarterback yet. I think there's a ton of guys that I still like quite a bit. And my end game is Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm comfortable going into the season with Trevor Lawrence as my guy. He was starting to put together some really nice numbers. You can see this little stretch from about week 5 on where he's throwing more than 2 touchdowns. He's running for touchdowns at the end here. He was starting to put together some nice numbers, that 18 to 20 fantasy points per game, occasionally going over 20. I think Trevor Lawrence this year with Liam Cohen could be a guy that he just launches himself into the top 10 at the QB position. And good to hear Charlene's okay just outside of Fort Worth. Good to hear. We're going to be moving into the 11th round here. We see a lot of rookies come off the board. I think Emeka Ibuka by Tony, that was a great pick here. I probably would have taken him had he been available. I think there's a chance that he starts. Maybe he just comes out of the gate hot with 6-7 catches per game while Godwin's getting healthy and Mike Evans is still maybe ramping up at that point. But I do like Bashal Tutin, who could be one of the best backs for the Jags. I love Colston Loveland. I think Jaden Blue's a fun lottery pick here too. Jaden Higgins is the guy I just took in a dynasty draft this week. I could see Jaden Higgins having a nice rookie season as well. I'm not really in on Jack Besh. I think he's probably 2026. I think once Jacoby Myers leaves, we'll see Jack Besh kind of go into that slot role for the Raiders. But we're deep in the draft here, man. The fact that I can get, Justin Herbert, even Tyler Warren down here, I think we talked about the Colts being, all Jonathan Taylor, but I think there's a legit chance Tyler Warren leads this team in receptions, targets, yards, and touchdowns this year. He could just be the dude, even though I really like Josh Downs. He's one of the most underrated receivers left on the board. I am pretty excited about what the Colts passing offense could look like if Daniel Jones is the guy. I am hoping to I think I'm going to grab Justin Herbert here. Just from a safety perspective, man, I know he's a great quarterback. He's got the rushing upside that I look for. He did run for a few touchdowns last year. He still has games where he's going over 300 passing yards and he can get into those duels. I like the growth of this offense potentially. in the second year of that offense with the head coach there. I'm escaping my name, Harbaugh. But I think Justin Herbert in the Chargers offense is going to be kind of fun to watch this year, and they should have a handful of night games and primetime games for me to watch. So I'm big on Herbert. I got a Charger hat somewhere around here. But we're pretty much filled out. We're going to maybe land some receivers to end this draft. I think there's a couple guys still on my list. I might grab a guy like Tyler Warren just because, man, we've seen rookie tight ends. It's kind of changed, man. The last few years, these rookie tight ends are coming in, and they're coming in hot. Like, we're seeing Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers. You know, there's a couple other guys that I probably just can't remember right now, but there's a lot of big names coming in at the receiver or the tight end position, making an impact. So I'll put Tyler Warren on the bench, and we'll see what happens. Because if he comes out week one, goes like 5 for 60 and a touchdown, you know, all of a sudden we're thinking about him in a much different light. And we're going to probably finish off with maybe a receiver and a running back or two. I love the receiver depth, but I do want one more guy that we could potentially feel safe with. And hey, if you guys are just joining me, don't forget to check out the sleeper mock draft here. It's at the top of the chat. You guys can find the link up here. Just copy and paste that into your browser. We're doing a 10-team full PPR mock draft over on Sleeper. We'll start that in a little bit, just after this ESPN mock draft. So if you want to mock with us, please do. As far as other picks this late that I kind of like, I mean, Najee Harris is going to be that 1B touchdown kind of guy. I think if anything happens to Hampton, we could be looking at a guy that could be in our lineups. I think Blake Corum, a really nice quality handcuff, but purely a handcuff. I don't think we're going to see them spread the ball out enough to make Corum an every week potential flex. I do think Rashid Shaheed's worth a shot at this point. I don't know if Tyler Shuck's going to be able to hit him consistently as like a Derek Carr would. I'm excited about Trey Harris. Algiers just a handcuff. There goes my Josh Downs. I do like the Marvin Mims pick. Marvin Mims is kind of a sneaky guy here because he's like the NFC version of Rashid Shaheed because he does return punts and special teams and things like that. And he just has these big, massive plays that end up, you know, flipping fields and making big impacts on games. It took him a while to get going, but from about week 11 on, he was a startable fantasy receiver 3 flex. I'm also interested in Hollywood Brown at this price. I think Christian Kirk's a good pick here. We love Dak Prescott on this show. Brandon Ayuk pretty cheap. And then I do like Ray Davis down there. But we're up to pick here. I could draft Drake May and see what happens there. I think the receivers are pretty cooked. I do like Darnell Mooney, Charlene, but I did grab I already grabbed Drake London, so I don't want to dip my toes too deep in that offense. But I'm just going to go back here. Man, I kind of missed the boat on everything. I'm going to get auto-picked here. We'll go Rashad Bateman. I do have Mark Andrews, but Rashad Bateman was a guy that looked pretty good. He was a guy that also kind of flipped a switch, but he was catching touchdowns a lot at the end of the year. He still needs to figure out how to be more consistently involved in the offense, but they paid him this offseason, so I like that. Entering his 5th year, we could be looking at a guy that catches 800 to 900 yards and really builds off that 2024 season where, you know, he started to look like the guy that we thought he could be when he was drafted in the 1st round. And yeah, I'm interested in Darren Waller. I don't think I'm going to feel comfortable going in with Waller as my only tight end on my roster, but I do think you could do worse if that's the end game. I think you could totally do worse. I'm going to finish off with Demario Douglas, who I think has a chance to lead the Patriots in receptions again this year. He did catch 66 balls. Needs to get a little bit more action in the red zone in the touchdown department, but he's a guy that, you know, if I need to whip him out and get my 10 to 12 points, I think I can do that. But we have our bench filled. And yeah, I do think Darren Waller's interesting. I'm a little nervous about a guy coming off, you know, a full year of retirement to come back. He could be a little rusty, or maybe he just comes in and he just starts catching 6 passes a game like Jonnu Smith was at the end of the last year. So we'll see. I do like Darren Waller. I want to know, is he – it's not going to let me look at him. But he hasn't been picked yet. So I do think there could be some intrigue with Darren Waller. The last we saw him, it wasn't very good. It was the New York Giants offense still. But I think there's a chance Waller – when I initially did the projections for Miami, Darren Waller ended up being like tight end 8 or something for me. I did have to adjust that and cool that down just a little bit. But I think he's an ideal tight end 2 with the chance to be a top 10 starting tight end every week. And Charlene is Charlene loves Darren Waller. She loves Darren Waller. So far, I'm ending up with a ton of Sam Laporta, a ton of Mark Andrews. If I wait farther, I get a ton of Jake Ferguson. I get a ton of Dallas Goedert. I get a ton of Brenton Strange as well. I think Strange might be one of the biggest sleepers. And then the guy that like nobody really talks about is Zach Ertz. Like Zach Ertz, yeah, he's 34 years old, but people still draft Travis Kelce super high. I think Zach Ertz can be a top 10, top 12 tight end one again. And then Mike Gesicki might be another tight end for us deep into the jungle there. But we're going to finish off with some defense and some kickers here. I haven't really looked at this. I need to start looking at these dang schedules. The Packers do play the Lions week 1. I know that. I like the Jets defense. I think they could be kind of fun this year. I think the Dolphins are going to struggle a lot, which is kind of why I like the passing aspect from Miami as they struggle to defend. But we'll go ahead and we'll just click on the 49ers. I do want to see the 49ers schedule and see who they're opening up with, because not the best year last year, but there's a lot of things that went wrong for them. They're going to get Seattle, New Orleans, Arizona, Jacksonville. That's kind of a nice start. Like 49ers could easily come out of the gate 4-0. They do have some tough games here: LA, Tampa, Atlanta, Houston. But overall, like you could legit just throw out San Francisco for the first 13 weeks and feel okay about it. So maybe they're the defense that we start to target a little bit more aggressively. For me, I'm going to go Daniel Carlson. The Raiders, I think Geno Smith was made to move offenses into field goal range and kick field goals. So that's one of my favorite things is I look for a kicker on a team that's not that great. They're going to move the ball a good amount, but they're not going to finish drives. And to me, that's kind of the Raiders this year. So we'll go Dan the Man Carlson, secretly one of the best kickers in the league. And he was kicker 10 last year on a shit team, a team that I expect to be a lot better this year. So that was fun. We'll just take a quick look at Harris's team here. He got Josh Allen, Saquon, Tony Pollard. Receivers are a little bit light. Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, and Cooper Kupp, but you got Brock Bowers, so you should be fine. The depth here, Eckler, Ramondre Spears. I like that group of running backs. And then we got a lot of receiver depth here. Adam Thielen, Marvin Mims, Christian Kirk, Cedric Tillman. I think you got enough pieces there to work in and feel pretty good about your receiver group at some point. And then Tony back here at pick 10. He gets Jordan Love. His running backs are Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. I feel good about that duo. Puka and BTJ. That is disgusting. Jake Ferguson, Devonta Smith. The bench is Zay Flowers, Javonte, Travis Hunter, Jaden Reed, Ibuka, Garendo, Corum. I like this team there by Mr. Tony. Jonnu was an absolute stud last year. I'm going to give you guys one more chance here to get into this sleeper mock draft. I'm going to start it after we talk about Jonnu Smith. The link is at the top of the queue here. But we're going to talk quickly about Jonnu Smith. I mean, I think there was just a lot of things going on last year, too, in Miami, where they kind of had to rely on him when they didn't really expect to. But he was tight end 4 last year. He catches 88 passes, 111 targets, 884 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I don't think we can just pencil that in, though, for Darren Waller. I think you got to kind of regress that a little bit. I think I ended up with something like 80 or 85 targets for Darren Waller. He's also been kind of injury prone the last handful of years that he was healthy. So we'll see. I think Jonnu Smith, this is like the ceiling for like a Darren Waller type player. But again, he does have top 10 upside. And yeah, we're going to join the sleeper draft here. We only got 3 people in here, including myself. But yeah, I think, I don't know if Tony is going to join. But we'll go ahead and let's just get this thing rolling. It's a 10-team league. I don't do a lot of 10-team leagues. I do have a dynasty 10-team league here, not a redraft league, but I know a lot of people play 10-man. Let's just go ahead and get it done. The rosters, if you guys have been doing this, it's kind of the same the last few weeks. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, and then we got 7 bench pieces here, so I'm not really interested in defense and kicker mocks. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. I'm in the 9 hole, Harris the 7, and I believe Mr. Magic there in the 5. Let's go ahead and have some. And again, this is full PPR. JJ going 101. Mr. Magic collects Bijan. I'm at the 109 here. I can get Malik Neighbors, Nico, BTJ. I can get Ashton Genty as well. But I'm gonna just collect Malik Neighbors, who I think is one of the safest profiles for wide receiver that you can get. I think he's a top 5 receiver potentially. Really nice floor, being a top 10 player, and he's just so good. I did take Devon Achane earlier. I'm gonna go with Ashton Genty in this one, and we got a balanced start to get our draft going. Malik and Ashton Genty. Harris goes big old Derrick Henry there. Can we get another Derrick Henry monster year where he almost threats for 2,000 yards? I don't know. I've been fading Derrick Henry every year, and I think I just got to keep sticking with it. We got to keep sticking with it. Mr. Magic with Bijan and Christian McCaffrey. That could be pretty lethal. I am very nervous about Christian McCaffrey just losing a little bit, but in the little sample that we saw him last year, he still looked good. And that was with him, nursing it like that year. He's had a lot of time to heal. I think there could be some potential for CMC to be a guy that we all want on our fantasy teams this year. You know what? I'll take T. Higgins. I'm not a big T. Higgins. I'm a huge T. Higgins fan just for fantasy. His price is high, but man, we know he's got, top 5 wide receiver position at any given week. So we'll grab Mr. Higgins. I'm looking around. I'm going to continue to draft wide receivers here. We're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. And with our roster construction, we do have one more flex spot here. So I'm kind of just pounding young, talented players. T. Higgins is the oldest so far. It looks like Harris going back to Jonathan Taylor and Terry McLaurin. And we'll see what Mr. Magic does. He gets Devontae. So JSN and Devontae, that's a pretty good value wide receiver 1 and 2 there for you. I might pull quarterback early here. I think I got to continue to try different things. Mr. Magic goes with Joe Mixon and Harris. Curious what Harris does here. He goes Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go Joe Burrow, man, because I got Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. When Higgins' stack goes off, it's going to be beautiful. And even if Jamar Chase goes off and T. Higgins really doesn't, I'm still getting that with Joe Burrow. So I kind of like that stack. I think that could be kind of nice. And back to me right away. We've talked up Sam Laporta here. He's a guy that I like to click on quite a bit. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to click on Sam Laporta, tight end 1. We had a really fat Cincinnati stack. Tight end 1, Sam Laporta, and 3 young, promising receivers. So I like this 10-team mock so far. Obviously, it's a 10-team, so everyone's team's going to look a little bit stronger, but I feel good about what I got going here. Harris clicked on Jamison Williams, and we haven't really talked about Jamison Williams. I think he could be a guy that benefits this season. Last year was really just his first full season, if you really think about it, and he looked pretty damn good. So he's a guy that I click a lot on. I think a career year could be coming for him. Anything happens to Laporta or Amon-Ra or Gibbs or David Montgomery and they have to throw the ball more, I think we could be looking at some exciting numbers from Mr. Jamison Williams. I'm not really seeing the value at running back here. I did like Jalen Waddle because I didn't have Devon Achane here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on Chris Olave. I'm just betting on talent here. I know he's a good player. And who knows, maybe the rookie quarterback just pummels the hell out of Chris Olave with targets. I'm going to try something weird. We're going to go Aaron Jones. I think the Vikings want to run the football, and Jones still looked good. I don't know if he showed signs of slowing down yet last year. I know he really struggled in the red zone, which was frustrating. But I think with basically our rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Jones is going to be very, very valuable in this offense. And I'm kind of building myself a roster where I love my receivers, I love my tight end, I love my quarterback. I'm okay with being a little soft at RB2. I think we're going to kind of balance that out as the draft gets deeper here. Waiting for tight end might have been the move here because I do like Harris grabs Mark Andrews and Evan Ingram. This is a nice round for a tight end. If it's Ingram, that's cool. If it's Mark Andrews, that's cool. I like both those guys quite a bit. I'm just going to keep taking Jaylen Warren. He's just on my team every time, guys. Jaden Reed. Scatman, Javonte. I'm just gonna take a chance on Juwan Jennings here. We don't have any 49ers offensive pieces here. And again, we talked about him really being the only healthy receiver right now for the 49ers. He could be in for a nice big season with them. You know, maybe he flirts with 1,000 yards this year. Maybe he catches 7, 8, 9 touchdowns, something like that. I think Jennings is a good value here. He's a really good blocker too. He's going to be on the field a ton. He's probably leading the team in receiver snaps. I do want more running backs here. If they're going to give me, Harris is probably going to take Ramondre Stevenson here. And maybe not. He's already got 3 guys. He's got 4 guys now. Ramondre Stevenson keeps falling. But I'm going to take Ibuka. I don't have a Buccaneer. We're going to grab a rookie receiver here and see what happens. And then it just so happens to fall back to me with Ramondre, Jordan Mason still on the board. I'm just going to click on Jordan Mason. And, hey, we just locked up the Vikings backfield for the cost of an 8th round pick plus a 12th round pick. Like, we're going to be just hopefully locking in Vikings RB2 for most of the year. If we need to pull in Jaylen Warren, that's fine. But I do feel pretty good about that mini stack of the Vikings running backs. I do like Garendo too here. Mr. Magic just capped McCaffrey here with a Garendo pick, which is kind of nice. And then I love the Trey Benson pick as well. I'm not going to take a backup quarterback here, but man, the quarterbacks are Love, Fields, Dak, Drake May. So many good freaking quarterbacks available here. Yeah, most of my leagues are about 16 rounds. That ends up with about 7 bench pieces. But that's what's kind of fun, though. It keeps the waiver wire pretty hot and competitive. And, hey, thank you. I got 15 seconds to do the job. I'm going to take a chance on J.K. Dobbins. See what happens there. And then wide receivers, not looking the best. I do like my receivers already. Maybe I just grab another running back here. And we'll grab Eckler. See what happens. And then we'll probably do a walk-off wide receiver pick here. Maybe a sleeper for you guys. I think Josh Palmer has a chance to be pretty effective with Josh Allen. I think, again, I like Demario Douglas. I think there's not a lot to love back here. Christian Kirk's a sneaky one, man. When he's healthy, he's been a good player, and he could easily be a guy that you end up flexing a handful of weeks this year. So that's a good pick there. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to draft a 7th receiver. I don't see a need to. There's a ton of tight ends available here that I feel good about. But I think just with my roster construction, I think we're just going to continue to hoard running backs here. I could grab a quarterback too, but with Joe Burrow, like we kind of want to leave Joe Burrow in all the time. So for me, man, and the running backs just completely took a dump. Yuck. Fine. I'll take Bateman. I'll take Rashad Bateman. But there you have it. There's your 10-team full PPR mock draft. Let's take a peek here at what Mr. Magic did in this one. He goes Bijan from the 5, McCaffrey, so really strong running backs. And then I think JSN and Devontae, man, that's a really good value at receiver there for your wide receiver 1 and 2. I have both guys as top 12 receivers, so I like that move. You get Joe Mixon and James Conner, some veteran backs here to compete for your flex duties. Baker Mayfield, QB1, Chris Godwin, Evan Ingram, Debo, Mooney. I think that's enough players at the receiver position to figure it out. And then some bullets here, Garendo, Benson, Rashid Shaheed, who knows, man. And then shout out Tom Brady one time. Harris he gets CeeDee Lamb at the 107, which is, I think, a pretty good steal. His running backs, Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, that's easily almost 700 touches between the two of them. McLaurin, wide receiver 2, Jalen Hurts, can't complain. I like J-Mo. Judkins, I'm still not a big fan of Judkins. but I think he's fine, especially as your RB3. I think that's fine. I like Calvin Ridley there as your 4. Mark Andrews, we love him as your tight end 1. And then I like the bench here for receiver and running back, really. Kupp, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams. You got a reliable veteran, and you got some exciting rookies here. And then same thing, you got Javonte Williams, kind of a veteran that we know can catch the ball and do some simple things. And then Tootin and Dylan Sampson there, some good lottery picks here. So fun draft. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Again, check out thefantasyfellowship.com. I just updated all of my projections today. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, Mr. Magic. As always, we'll be going live next Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time, if you guys want to mock draft with us. I do put the lobby link in there 15 minutes before the draft starts. And yeah, then we do the sleeper mock. So if you guys want to hang out, please do so. If you guys have any suggestions for next week's sleeper mock, please let me know. Otherwise, we're just going to hit that ESPN 12-team mock, and then we'll figure it out later. But again, thank you guys. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, enjoy the evening. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.